Welcome back to Metropole Television. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiaga. This is the last part of our show this morning. And that means that we have to tell you exactly what is also trending in the different sectors of the economy. Now, Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja has developed the Startup Bill 2020, which seeks to provide a framework to encourage growth and sustainable technology development in the country. Now, the bill, which will see both the county and national government develop incubation hubs, is a means to establish a favorable innovation environment by attracting both talents and capital. Will see startups registered in the incubation programs required to be officially registered as companies, partnerships, or non-government organizations, and must have a scalable business model. Now, this will, for the first time, lay the emphasis on intellectual property, which, according to experts, has been a neglected part of the smaller businesses in Kenya. Now, this morning, to help us understand further on the state of IP in Kenya, we are joined by the CEO, Jali, e-technics and intellectual property expert, researcher at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, Jana J. Akwale. Jana, how are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to have you around. Let's tackle this subject from
utility model. For utility model, the difference between utility model and patent is that utility model, you protect it only for 10 years. But now for patent, you protect it for 20 years from the date of application. Now, where do you apply for protection? For a patent, you will go to Kenya Industrial Property Institute, KIPI. There is where they will do the assessment. They will study and examine and look at it. Is it new? Is it really new? Does it qualify to be a patent? Same to industrial design, same to trademark. Those are concepts that are protected within KIPI. Now, when you look at copyright, it differs from different countries. Common law countries, it is just by fixation. You don't need to go to, somewhere to protect. However, in Kenya, we are common law country, but we still go to Kekobo to fix our copyright. For example, you have come up with a software code, you have come up with, music, you have come up with new lyrics. You can take them to Kekobo and then they do the fixation for you. So you'll have it protected 50 years after your death. Like as you're living, it's protected. Then when you die, 50 years later, it is still protected. So that is generally how, the protection comes about.
Yes. All right, Jenna, let's therefore continue. And I want us to really break it down this morning for anybody wanting to understand it, to really get something out of this conversation. So now, do you patent an IP? Do you copyright an IP? Because I think that's where the definition now gets a bit trickier. What do you do? If I identify this IP, I've got it, it's my intellectual property, what do I do next?
Thank you so much. Now, well, intellectual property is like an umbrella. Now, we also have patents within intellectual property. We have industrial designs within intellectual property. So when it comes to, you cannot say you have an idea that you copyright it and then you mix it with IP. IP is just the broad concept, intellectual property. And then now we have the different rights, or rather regimes within intellectual property. And one of them is copyright. And as I said, in Kenya, we are a common law country. You don't need to fix it. But we have Kekobo where you go and fix it. So there is where we have even the CMOs, where they are able to look at your productions and you are able to get your revenues from the copyright that you have. So if you fix it up with them, it means generally you're protected within Kenya as a region, and therefore no one should be able to copy your source code if it is a software. No one is able to copy your lyrics if it is a music. So it is all about, this creative art that you have come up with that is now protected within copyright regime. But copyright regime is under intellectual property.
Pretty much. All right, Jenna, let's also now identify this other area that I think most people would ask you a question on. I'm in a line of business that is not essentially different, and it's a very good thing that you mentioned about the Juakali sector within Kenya. That I'm in a line of business, I could be selling mboga, I could be selling shoes, I could be selling shirts. Are you telling me, therefore, Jenna, this morning, to look at my business and identify my IP?
Well, now, if you have such kind of businesses, I will say that you have to come up with a creative way of even doing your things. Now, for example, now a mama mboga in your stall, what are some of the new things that you have incorporated?
I say now.
Even in that, now you see now the new ideas that you have put within your cells. How are
Yes.
you able to, like, for example, am I able to have something like a software that I'm able to sell my mbogas within different areas, and people are able to capture my attention from different across Kenya? Is there a novel way I'm doing it? Then if I have such kind of a novel application, or rather a software, or I have a design that has come along with even how I've packaged my burgers, then that can qualify to be an IP. You can be able to identify it as an IP. But for you to utilize it properly, then you have to seek protection. For example, if there's some aesthetic way you are packaging, burgers, you have to then look at the design, industrial design. You have packaged it nicely. Then that one you can go to KIPI, file for an industrial design. Then they will check it out and then give you a paperwork indicating that this is your new design, and anyone who wants to use it must seek your authority, must seek your approval before they are able to utilize it. Yeah.
Pretty much. Now, from what you said this morning, Jenna, I mean, IP, as you say, it's quite a broad concept. It's got a lot of technicalities that you need to understand from there. But why has it not been given proper stress in the Kenyan economy?
It is true that in Kenya we have not been able to capture intellectual property properly, and part of the things that have contributed significantly is one IP strategy. In Kenya, we do not have intellectual property strategy. If you look, have a well-defined intellectual property strategy that covers from research. It takes, like, for example, this Biodol Act legislation, that they have picked, covered research areas. They have covered universities. They have been able also to, cover industries and even small and startups that are coming into the market. So basically, I would say that one of the things that has really failed as a country is IP strategy. Secondly is on IP awareness. We are not aware of intellectual property. We are running businesses. We are, teaching students. We are in various sectors of the economy trying to participate in 1, 2, 3 things, but also on awareness. People are not aware of IP. People have not been trained. You can, have your industrial design. You can trademark your industry. For example, Amamboga, you called, say, you have a unique name for your shop or enterprise, but you have not been able to name it properly. Then you miss it out. You're not able to trademark it. It's quite low in not only in Kenya but in most African states. We are suffering. We don't know that you can protect your ideas. Now, I think with those two things, if we're able to address it as a nation, then we can now move to levels now of protecting. You now move to levels of selling even your IP and coming up with small strategies, customized strategies within your enterprise.
It's a good thing that you're talking about selling your IP, because the next question for you, Jenna, this morning was going to be, well, since we are talking about IP and the need for you to identify it in everything that you're doing, how can we look at it from a commercial sense?
Been a concept that we have been discussing across, especially during this corona period. And one of the things that we do before we protect any IP, especially from university perspective, is the commercial viability of an IP you have. For instance, you have come up with a patent that is able to cook ugali, for instance, and you want to take it to the market. The first thing we need to assess is, first of all, is it a kit that is going to cook ugali? Are we able to sell it? Are we able to, license it out? Those are some of the strategies we use when we are taking it to the market. Are you able to either do a merger and acquisition, like you merge with a particular, are you able to franchise it out? So some of these things is, before you move into protection, are you able to look at the commercial viability of the concept that is quite difficult to be able to commercialize IP because, first of all, most people are not aware of IP. When you're looking at it in a broad way, people don't know even the strategies that we utilize when we are selling it out. People do not have special agents looking into their particular IPs. So I would say that for commercialization of IP, before you protect it, take a tour, or rather survey your IP asset and find out, can I be able to commercialize? Who are my target clients? And therefore that trickles down to your business model. What is the value proposition that you're putting to your target client? How are you going to communicate your product to the people? So if you're able to look at it in such a concept, in a wide way, then come up with a clear business model, then it is possible for you to commercialize your IP. We have done it before. There are people who have been able to sell out their IPs and they're making huge money. A good example is Ujuzi Kilimo, who have utilized IP in both on trademark. They have been able to patent their product. The software that they use, they have copyrighted, and therefore they are going into the market and they have won so many awards. So I think when you are even coming up with you have a startup that you want to now sell it out to the market, then you have to clearly have a good business model for it, and then now take it out to the market. So if you're starting up companies, I see Johnson Sakaja is doing some good work. You have to really clearly elaborate and also come up with a clear model for you before you sell it out or take it out to the market.
Pretty much. Jenna, just before we clear this morning, just 2 minutes if you may, because that's exactly the time that we have left for you this morning. I want to ask you a very technical question now. Since we're saying IP is a very complicated issue, it's a broad area that it's even quite hard for even individuals to understand. Should you speak to somebody once you get a hint of IP in whatever it is you're doing, or wait, do it yourself and speak to somebody at the last minute? Because we do have, somebody can steal your IP, Jenna. Right, and
The question right, you're saying that someone can easily steal, rush to protect. I don't know if I got your question right.
Yes, that was the question. So should you speak to somebody? Should you do it by yourself until you're sure? Should you do your own research when it comes to IP as opposed to speaking to somebody else?
Okay, Kenya has developed nice frameworks that we can always utilize, and it is definition, understanding every concept. I think for most businesses, they need to start looking into ways, of having IP attorneys who can be able to assist them. And I think we have so many registered IP attorneys within the KIPI registers, or rather databases. So it is good that you cannot be able to tackle this thing as an specialist who can assist you in packaging your idea, in packaging your business, and also assist you in protecting. Because we have had so many cases where people are stealing ideas, people are stealing innovation. So I think into even having employees who are experts, even cultivating units within or rather subjects within universities, people are taught on IP. Because we have people coming out as entrepreneurs from universities. We have people who have not even gone to universities, or rather, and
Right, Jenna, unfortunately we have to end here because um, there seems to be difficulty in the connection this morning. Good morning. This is Business Hour.